Chicago's housing market is not cooling evenly. That is a part buyers and sellers keep missing. So if you're watching national headlines and thinking, great, the Chicago market is finally easy, not so fast. In this video, I'm breaking down why Chicago market feels so strange right now, where buyers may finally have leverage, and where sellers still have control, and why the real issue is not just price. Hello, I'm A.D. Anant Deoras, a 14-year Chicago realtor with a love of urbanism and a focus on relocation and selling. The biggest mistake people make right now is asking, how is the Chicago market? The better question is, which Chicago market are we talking about? A downtown high-rise condo, a vintage walk-up near the Brown Line, a townhome, a two-flat, a move-up seller. You see what I'm getting at? Trying to trade a low mortgage rate for more space are not playing the same game. Yes, inventory is higher in some segments. Yes, some homes are sitting longer. But that does not mean every buyer suddenly has leverage. A buyer comparing several similar downtown condos may have room to negotiate. A buyer chasing a well-priced home near transit may still need to move quickly. And a seller with a desirable property cannot assume the market will bail them out if the price is too ambitious. Chicago, not one market. It's not one market. It's several smaller markets moving at different speeds. Here's where the market gets interesting. Not all inventory is created equal. In condo-heavy areas such as River North, Streeterville, Gold Coast, and parts of the Loop and the South Loop, buyers may have more choices and more time to compare assessments, reserves, parking, amenities, and building condition. If three similar units are available in one building, the seller has competition. But that does not tell you what is happening with a Lakeview townhome, a Ravenswood walk-up, or a Logan Square two-flat, a single-family home inside the city. Those homes solve different problems for different buyers. A townhome buyer may pay more for extra space, a private entrance, and fewer shared walls. A two-flat buyer may care about flexibility, a rental income, or space for the extended family. A single-family buyer may face a much smaller pool of options and a very different maintenance burden. So when you hear inventory is up, ask a better question. Inventory of what? Higher inventory in one category does not automatically make the home you want easier to buy. The market headlines may be technically true and still may be completely unhelpful for your search. Now is a part sellers need to hear and buyers need to respect. The good stuff still moves. A properly priced home is really critical, folks, in a walkable Chicago neighborhood, close to transit, with a strong floor plan, reasonable monthly costs, and no major red flags can still move quickly. Buyers are not just buying four walls. They're buying a daily routine, the train, the grocery store, the bike lane, the coffee shop, the park. And the ability depends less on a car. But the good stuff really is different depending on the buyer. A renovated two-flat may appeal to someone who wants rental income or room for a family. A townhome may beat a condo if it offers more space at a similar payment. A vintage walk-up near transit may still draw immediate attention because the location and the monthly costs line up. Buyers are paying closer attention to days on market, price cuts, assessments, and maintenance exposure. They're asking whether the property actually solves their problems. Sellers can still win, but wishful pricing is getting punished. If a home has been sitting for a month, buyers may see an opening. And if it's fresh, attractive, and priced correctly, do not assume you're the only person who noticed it. By the way, if you're trying to figure out where you fit in the Chicago market, that is exactly where strategy matters. A downtown condo buyer, a move-up seller, in a walkable neighborhood, a first-time buyer trying to stay near the train, and someone considering a townhome or a two-flat are not all making the same decision. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or planning your next move, schedule a real estate consult with myself. There is a link in the description and a QR code right above, right up here, could be over here, you'll have to see. And we'll go through strategy. We'll look at property type, actually fits whatever your lifestyle you want. It's a low pressure conversation. Whether you're ready to move next month or you're still planning for next year. Now let's talk about mortgage rates, because a lot of people expected lower rates to unlock the market. The logic sounds simple. Rates drop, buyers gain purchasing power, sellers feel more comfortable moving, more homes hit the market. But that, of course, as you've seen, hasn't worked out cleanly. Part of the reason is a lock-in effect. A lot of owners are sitting on mortgage rates much lower than what they would have get today. And they may want more space, a better layout, or a home closer to transit. But, the reality is the next monthly payment can still be much higher. A condo owner may want a townhome. A town owner may want a single-family home. But if the payment jump feels brutal, they may stay put. That freezes some would-be sellers and keeps inventory tight in the categories buyers want most. And if rates fall while inventory stays limited, more buyers may chase the same good listings. But does not mean that you should rush. It means waiting does not automatically make the market easier. You need to watch both the rate and the inventory at the same time. The list price is not the end-all be-all. You need to look at principal, interest, taxes, insurance, assessments when they apply, parking maintenance, utilities, and repair risk. For a condo, you understand the assessment, reserves, rental rules, and upcoming building projects. A higher assessment is not automatically bad if it covers real expenses. But you need to know what you're paying for. For a townhome, know what the association covers and what will still fall on you. For a two-flat, do not get excited about rental income. Think about the roof, the masonry, the mechanicals, utilities, tenant turnover, and whether your rental assumptions are realistic. A single-family home may not have an assessment, but you're taking on more direct responsibility for repairs and upkeep. And yes, living in a walkable neighborhood may help you reduce car costs. That matters. If you can walk to groceries, take the train to work, and bike for some errands, the lifestyle math changes. But if it does not rescue a housing payment that is already too high. This video is not about the traditional suburban market, but city-like suburbs do come up with buyers and are available in the Chicago area. Evanston, Oak Park, Forest Park, and sometimes feel more like urban extensions than conventional suburbs. You may have a CT or a metro access, a real downtown or commercial corridor, older housing stock, condos, apartments, two flats, local businesses, parks, and errands you can complete without always getting into that car. For some buyers, those places belong in the conversation. Not because Chicago is bad, not at all. Not because you're giving up on city life, but because your goal may be a specific kind of daily routine. You may want a train, a walkable core, housing variety, and the ability to live with less car dependence. But do not assume crossing a city boundary automatically makes the math easier. Taxes, commute, housing type, and transit access still matter. The better question, right, is not city versus suburbs. It is urban lifestyle versus car-dependent lifestyle. So what should buyers do right now? First, match your strategy to the property type. If you're shopping downtown, high-rise condos with more inventory, compare buildings and negotiate carefully. Look at the reserves, the assessments, and rental rules, and whether similar units are competing against each other. If you're chasing a well-priced walk-up, near transit, be ready to move quickly. If you're considering a townhome, ask whether the extra space, private entrance, and lower level of shared living justify the premium. If you're considering a two-flat, understand condition, financing, repair exposure, and whether the rental income is realistic. If you want a single-family home inside the city, expect fewer good options and a potentially faster decision. Second, know the full payment before you fall in love with the home. Third, know when to negotiate and when not to play games. A stale, overpriced listing, may create opportunity. A fresh, well-priced listing near transit may not. The prepared buyer is not always the buyer who offers the most. It's the buyer who understands property and can act with confidence. Now, if you're a seller, this market is not bad, but it's less forgiving. Buyers are sharper. They're comparing monthly payments, condition, and alternatives. And if you overprice, you may sit. In a walkable Chicago neighborhood, do not just sell bedrooms and bathrooms. Sell the daily life, the train, the bus, the coffee shop, the grocery store, the park, and the bike route. But pair that with the lifestyle story at the correct price. Your competition may not be the listing down the street that looks exactly like your home. A condo may compete with a townhome. A townhome may compete with a smaller single-family home. A two-flat may attract both owner, occupants, and investors. A vintage walk-up may compete with a similar monthly payment in another neighborhood with comparable transit and walkability. Your real competition is a group of properties solving the same buyer problem. To sell well, you need correct pricing. You need strong presentation and a clear lifestyle story. If one of those pieces is missing, the market may not bail you out. So what is the big takeaway, good folks? Chicago's housing market is not as simply hot or cold. It's a split. Some buyers have more options. Some sellers are cutting prices. Some well-positioned homes still move quickly. A downtown condo, a neighborhood townhome, a two-flat, a vintage walk-up, and the single-family home can behave differently, even when they are only a few miles apart. Rates matter. Taxes matter. Assessments matter. Maintenance matters. Inventory matters. And the lifestyle matters. A national headline cannot tell you whether a River North condo is a good buy, whether a Ravenswood two-bedroom is overpriced, or whether a Logan Square two-flat fits your long-term goals. It cannot tell you whether Oak Park, Evanston, or Forest Park makes more sense for your daily life. You need a strategy that matches the property type, location, monthly payment, and the life you're trying to build. Because buying real estate is not about just winning a market. It's about building a life that works. If you want walkability, biking, transit, restaurants, parks, neighborhood, energy, and less dependence on a car, Chicago still gives you a lot of options. Just respect the math. I'm AD, your Chicago Urbanism Realtor. And I'll see you on the next video.